Good morning, Bill. Good morning, good friend. Good morning. Good morning, HB. Thank you for the messages yesterday. Yes, bubblegum. Yes. Headache. It started lifting about 3 p.m. yesterday. And then slowly over the evening, started feeling better. But yeah, I was down. I was down for the count. Good morning, Derek. Good morning. Yeah, yesterday was a doozy. Derek, I gotta tell you, it was a doozy. Bad one. Good morning, Nerdy. Looking forward to your guys' program tonight. Good morning, Exception. Good morning, Zozo. Good morning, Jesse. Yes, Papa Rooney's feeling better, Mr. Phillips. Thank goodness. I was holding my head on yesterday, just to make it. Trenty the Trenty Trenterson, good morning, Four Leaf. Good morning. Goon Mycelium. Giving everybody the boot. Good morning. Good morning. Goon Mycelium. Smashing like buttons. Goon, have you been here before, or is that a new screen name for you? Good morning, Lynette. I don't recognize that screen name this morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Wazzy. New name, same poet. What was your old name? What was your old name? If I could recognize. Same poet. I like that. We're going to talk about a poet this morning. Good morning. I don't say boop enough anymore, Nerdy. I have to start rebooping. I gotta reboop. Good morning, everybody. Oh, you were the... Oh, okay. So this is Richard. Richard Bruette. Good morning, Richard. There's my buddy. You have been around since the beginning. There it is. Thank you for being here, Goons. I like your name. Now I see what you mean by same poet. Good one. I had an inkling. So Jessie Girl Kylie is Jessie Girl. Okay. There's nothing wrong with the change now and then on the old namester. Oh, Goonie, thank you for being here. You don't have to thank me. Fred's our spring counter. You want to know how many days it is till spring? Wandering disciple. I don't know the answer to that. I would I think in all cases, in terms of pregnancy, I think I would advise to avoid most most medicines and mind-altering substances during pregnancy. That's would just be a gut thought, quick reaction. I'll reach out to some of my more experienced facilitator friends that I'm grouping with and ask them if they have any information on that. And we'll get back to you. But my first thought is to avoid most substances. Right, Nerdy? I would think the same thing what Nerdy said, wandering, because we're still just studying in small sample sizes of groups. We haven't reached any kind of critical mass on that. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Let's turn this puppy around. Good morning, I'm alive. I survived. It was a pretty massive migraine. It was a bad one. Thank you for your patience and kindness yesterday. I was mentioning earlier, right around 3:30, the old headache started to like boop away. And I was still body down. But yeah. Woz concurs. Err on the side of safety. Lynette, migraines are no joke. When Pops gets a migraine, this is what it feels like. I feel like there's a metal bar about that big around. About the size of a ballpark hot dog. And it starts right here and it goes all the way through like Frankenstein's me. I have a metal bar that goes across my head. There you go. So I get this metal bar that excruciating. And the only fix for it is dark room, no noise. And then hopefully find some sleep. Cutest story in the world, yesterday. I got up yesterday morning, and I came over to sit down, and I turned on the channel so we would have the page with the Tea with Pops cup in the background, and you guys could still chat back and forth, but I was gonna check out. So I sat down, I dialed it all up and everything, and usually when I go do that, just like right now, Ruffy, my little pup, is snuggled on the couch, snuggles himself all up. So he did that, and that's his normal pattern until about close to 10 o'clock, and you'll hear him. He starts wandering around and starts reminding me that it's after the show, Pops, we have to go for a ride. I have habituated him to expect a car ride. Sometimes it's just around the block. As long as I get him in the car, roll the window down, and he can get some fresh breeze on his snoot, then he's happy. So, yesterday, as soon as I checked out from you guys, I went and laid down on the couch. And he got off the couch and he stood there. Well, he was sitting, but he was staring at me like, what's going on, dude? You're supposed to be doing the program. What's going on? This is my snuggle alone time. What are you doing? And he gave me, for about 5 minutes, just staring at me, trying to figure out, how come you're not over in front of your camera doing your thing? Something's wrong here. It was so apparent. It was so incredibly apparent. It was adorable. My brain wasn't thinking it, but then when I just continued to lay there, there's got to be something wrong with Pops. Yeah, he stared me down, not for the next hour, but for about 5 minutes. It was like, are you sure you're not malingering right now? Get back, the tea needs you. And I need my snuggle time. So I lay down, and after about 5 minutes, my accountability partner, right, Herbs? It's funny how he knows my patterns. I laid down, and after about 5 minutes, he came over, and he isn't usually, he likes to cuddle or snuggle with me, but around my legs. He likes to be around my legs. And he also points in the opposite direction. So his head doesn't point towards me, it points towards my feet. That's our norm. He climbed all the way up and laid his little head on my shoulder, and he was just staring at me till he himself fell asleep with me. He was like, I think there's something wrong with Pops. There's gotta be something. Let me see if I can snuggle it out of him. Oh, it was so cute, you guys. I can't even tell you. We both had a completely different pattern yesterday. He's like, there's gotta be something wrong. Let me see if I can sponge that headache that he's getting out of him. Which I never want him to get one like that. Anyways, I thought when that was happening, I thought, this is so cute, I gotta tell my friends. This is really adorable. I have such a good little puppy. I'm incredibly lucky. Joe, he finally figured it out, and then he's like, oh, so this is this morning. Oh, okay. But it was turning the computer on that faked him out. It was like, he'll be gone for an hour. He's going to go talk about the Dow and stuff like that. He goes, I already know that stuff. Okay? Oh, it was cute as could be. I wish you guys could have seen it. Vanity Fair magazine. They dropped an article, an illustrated article on a guide to microdosing. If you get a chance to look at that, it's a pretty interesting article. To me, what's more interesting is that you're having magazines like Vanity Fair that are now promoting microdosing and the use of psychedelics. It's pretty interesting. We're moving in the right direction, I can tell you. How many of you are into crystals? How many of you are into crystals? HB, I'm not going to rush to judgment on that one. I mean, the world is about money, so we won't be surprised. How many of you are into crystals? Crystal people. Crystologists. I never really bought into the crystal scene. Nerdy. I never really bought into the crystal scene. I was always like, meh. And that was like I didn't buy into a lot of things. Okay? But there might be some properties in crystal. There might just be. Okay, Kylie, thank you. Spores and crystals for Michael Weil. So check this out. Calico Kid is the crystal. I don't think they're magic. Derek Anderson says they're pretty rocks, but I don't give them power. Okay. That's kind of about where I was, Derek. Might still be, but my brain is more open to accept that there may be, not magic, but there may be something intrinsically attractive about them. And if anything, they could probably be used as a totem of some sorts, yes? Check out this article. I'm going to read an article to you. Okay? Check out this guy. A chimpanzee with a crystal. So check this out. Really interesting article. In an attempt to understand our own fascination with the shiny minerals, researchers gave crystals to some chimpanzees. If you give a chimp a crystal, she might not give it back. Researchers learned this the hard way. They gave quartz, calcite, and other types of crystals to chimpanzees in a rehabilitation center. The apes responded with great interest, and the researchers ended up needing to trade larger amounts of bananas and yogurt to get back the largest crystal. Other of the crystals were never retrieved. The crystal chimp study, published on Wednesday in the journal Frontiers in Psychology, was an attempt to understand what about the shimmering minerals is so attractive to the apes' closest cousins, us. Does this sound interesting to you guys? Give me 5 people that want me to tell you more about this. Give me 5 people. Pops, what's going on with chimpanzees and crystals? What's going on? I have other article lined up if this isn't interesting. You guys like it? I always know what you guys are going to like. Either that or you're just always kind. So here we go. This study was led by Juan Manuel Garcia Ruiz, a crystallographer at the Donostia International Physics Center in Spain. Dr. Garcia Ruiz has spent most of his career investigating the material properties of crystals as well as their research applications. Okay? Crystallographer. He's also very interested in the impact of crystals on the history of art and the history of the mind. Discoveries of quartz and other crystals at archaeological sites suggest that prehistoric predecessors of humans gathered these stones as far back as 700,000 years ago. Archaeological sites, and we've seen a gathering of them as far back as 700,000 years ago. Researchers haven't found evidence that they turned them into tools, ornaments, or anything else useful. Contemporary humans also love crystals, and some ascribe them to healing or other supernatural powers. Some colleagues say, "We have to tell people that this is completely ridiculous," Dr. Garcia Ruiz said. "But for me, what's important is to tell people why this belief exists." To discern what drew our ancestors to crystals, Dr. Garcia Ruiz decided to show some to chimpanzees. He and his team worked with 2 groups that were housed separately at Reinfer Fundación Chimpatia near Madrid, which helps chimps rescued from difficult situations. For the first experiment, the researchers used 2 pedestals that were installed in the chimps' yards. On one, they placed a multifaceted quartz crystal that stood about a foot tall, and on the other, a sandstone rock of similar dimensions. Think Stanley Kubrick, 2001. On a pedestal, placed the crystal inside the chimpanzee's yard. In another location, pedestal with a sandstone, approximately the same dimension. Okay? The chimps went crystal cuckoo. In one yard, they repeatedly approached the monolith until the alpha female, Manuela, wrenched it off its pedestal. After that, the crystal rarely left the troops' sight, while they largely ignored the sandstone rock. One video shows a 50-year-old male chimp named Ivan Ivan, carrying it while he climbs and eats cabbage, passing it between his feet and hands with great panache. In the other yard, the experiment was cut short after a chimpanzee named Sandy immediately grabbed both items from their pedestals and brought them into the dormitories, where human caretakers don't generally go. This other group eventually brought the quartz into the dorm. Getting it back required the aforementioned prolonged negotiations with the chimps, where they coaxed the shrimp, the crystal away from them by giving them large amounts of bananas and yogurt. Getting it back Getting it back required the aforementioned prolonged negotiations with the chimps, which suggests that the animals value the crystal, Dr. Garcia Ruiz said. For the second experiment, researchers set out piles of pebbles in the garden with a few small crystals incorporated into each. The chimpanzees immediately went to the piles and sorted the crystals out of the piles. Then they carried them into their mouths, turned them in the light, and held them up to their eyes like old-time prospectors. When the researchers eventually set up cameras inside the chimp dorms, they saw that Ivan was still gripping one as he prepared to relax in his hay nest. The research team has been unable to find or retrieve many of these smaller crystals, Dr. Garcia Ruiz said. Based on their data and observations, the researchers proposed that the chimps were attracted by the crystal's transparency and shape. They seem to be also experiencing something beyond curiosity, Dr. Garcia Ruiz said. Watching them added heft to one of his more speculative theories. He believes the crystals, as the only Euclidean object in nature, may have helped humans invent geometry and unlock abstract thought. Stoned ape theory. Outside experts were more measured in their interpretation of the results. The chimpanzees in the study apparently share our own fascination with lustrous and translucent objects, said Michael Haslam, an archaeologist at Historic Environment Scotland, who studies how animals use tools. But the background of these particular chimpanzees as rescued animals, along with the small sample size of the study, make it difficult to generalize further. And drawing broad conclusions about exactly why chimps like crystals, and whether these characteristics also appealed to the hominoid ancestors of humans or influenced our thought patterns, goes a few steps too far, Dr. Haslam said. He added that other animals, such as bowerbirds, are also drawn to crystalline objects. While the attraction is clear, the underlying motivation is not, he said. Dr. Garcia Ruiz is hoping to perform similar experiments with wild chimpanzees. Unlike those raised among humans, they have no idea about the polyhedra and Euclidean geometry, he said. I think that will be more interesting. End of article. Isn't it neat? I'm just in awe of nature. The crystal itself. And then we find our ancestors Wow. I love it. Love it. Pretty darn amazing. Am I right? Okay. Now, recently we've been studying together the Tao Te Ching. And I mentioned to you that there's quite a few different translations of it. When we start with, let me show you, you start with the ancient Chinese symbols that look like this and get translated into this. This guy is quite the scholar. When he studied ancient Chinese and he translates the passages. And I've mentioned this guy to you once before. His name is Red Pine. This is what he looks like. Okay? And he's wearing, whether we really can't see it in this picture, but he's wearing like a monk cloak and outfit. Let me talk to you about him just a little bit. Okay? Herbie, there is some resemblance there, isn't there? Bill Porter, born October 3rd, 1943, is an American author who translates under the pen name Red Pine. Red Pine. He is a translator of Chinese texts, primarily Taoist and Buddhist, including poetry and sutras. In 2018, he won the American Academy of Arts and Letters Thornton Wilder Prize for translation. Now, what's going to be fascinating is his early life. Listen to this gentleman's early life, okay? In an interview with Andy Ferguson for Tricycle Magazine in 2000, Red Pine revealed some of the details of his early life. His father, Arnold Porter, grew up on a cotton farm in Arkansas. At an early age, Arnold became part of a notorious bank robbing gang that robbed banks from the south northwards to Michigan. In a shootout with the police, all of the gang members were killed except Porter, who was wounded and subsequently sent to prison. This is Red Pine's father. Okay? Nevertheless, after 6 years, he was pardoned by the governor of Michigan and released. An inheritance from the sale of the family farm allowed him to enter the hotel business and to become a multimillionaire. Arnold moved to Los Angeles, where Bill was born in 1943. Later, the family moved to a mountainous area near Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Arnold Porter became involved in Democratic Party politics and head of the Democratic Party in California, developing close associations with the Kennedy family. Red Pine's early life was one of wealth and privilege. He and his siblings went to elite private schools, but he considered the schools to be phony and too wrapped in wealth, ego, and power. Eventually, his father divorced his mother and subsequently lost everything. While his brother and sister found it difficult to live with less money, Pine was relieved when it happened. After receiving a draft notice in 1964, he voluntarily enlisted and served a 3-year Army tour in Germany. Pine served in Germany for 3 years as a medical clerk, which paid for his college education at University of California, Santa Barbara, where he obtained a degree in anthropology. When he encountered Buddhism, the tenets were quite clear to him, and he understood exactly about it. Following graduation, he went on to graduate studies in Chinese language and anthropology at Columbia University. But he dropped out in 1972 to go to the Fo Guang Shan in Taiwan, a Buddhist monastery. He studied for a year at Fo Guang Shan with Master Hsing Yin. After a year, he left, and he spent the next 2.5 years at the College of Chinese Culture, a smaller, less crowded monastery outside of Taipei in the mountains, where he became a graduate student in philosophy. He took classes in Taoism, Chinese art, and philosophy. His future wife, Ku, was a classmate. Unhappy with academic life, he left to go to the Hai Ming Temple, a monastery 20 kilometers south of Taipei, where he stayed for 2.5 years. Wu Ming was the head Ling Chan monk, Chiang Kai-shek's personal master. Here he simply studied and meditated. I had got a hold of all of these classic texts with both English and Chinese characters, and I went through most of the sutras. It goes on a little bit, talks about his writings, but what fascinates me about this gentleman is what a life he led. He's seen he lived in luxury. First of all, having a dad that's a bank robber. Pretty cool. Had a dad as a bank robber. And then his dad turns into a multimillionaire. And then his dad gets involved in politics. So he's watched all of this from the sidelines of his dad's life while he lived and went to elite schools and lived in luxury. He eschewed it all, and he moved to Taiwan and to China, and he became a Buddhist monk and studied and studied and studied to the point where he understood the ancient Chinese so well, and reading the characters, that he's a translator of many, many things that are written in ancient Chinese, not just the Tao Te Ching. Give me 5 people that think that's pretty cool. Give me 5 people that think that's a pretty neat path. Pretty neat. Give me 5 people. A lot of perspective in there, isn't there? There's a whole lot of perspective in that life, which makes me value his interpretation quite a bit. Let's read his interpretation today of the 67th verse. That's a good way to put it, HB. The 67th verse, that's this one. And he's translated these characters to this right here. The world calls me great but useless. It's because I am great, I am useless. And if I were of use, I would have remained small. But I possess 3 treasures. I treasure and uphold. First is compassion. Second is austerity. And third is a reluctance to excel. Because I'm compassionate, I can be valiant. Because I'm austere, I can be extravagant. Because I'm reluctant to excel, I can be chief of all tools. If I renounced compassion for valor, austerity for extravagance, and humility for superiority, I would die. But compassion wins every battle and outlasts every attack. What heaven creates, let compassion protect. Ancient Chinese philosopher said this about the same verse. The world honors daring and exalts ostentation, and it emphasizes progress. What the sage treasures is patience, frugality, and humility, all of which the world considers useless. Mencius, in the year 7 BC, said, "Those who are kind have no enemy under heaven." Let's look at another translation, the one that we typically are reading, and go through it a little bit. I hope this is interesting to you guys. We don't have a lot of verses left, so we have about 2 weeks left of this class, I might call it, where we're sharing the Tao Te Ching. I've been finding myself completely changing some of my thought patterns as a result of this. Truly. And I share this book and the Tao Te Ching with some close friends and relatives. And they're like, this is cool. But I think you need to reach a certain place, a certain point in your life where this stuff actually is resonating and really does make sense. Otherwise, this just looks like, it doesn't look like what the world taught us, that's for sure. Okay? The 67th verse, I'm going to read a different version. Are you guys good with this? I mean that. I ask a lot, but I want to keep your interest. The truth is, there's less people watching. So I'm losing people's interest, but I'm gaining my own. The 67th verse. All the world talks about my Tao with such familiarity. What folly. The Tao is not something found at the marketplace or passed on from father to son. It is not something gained by knowing. Thank you, Nif. It is not something gained by knowing or lost by forgetting. If the Tao were like this, it would have been lost and forgotten long ago. I have 3 treasures which I hold fast and watch closely. The first is mercy. The second is frugality. And the third is humility. From mercy comes courage. From frugality comes generosity. And from humility comes leadership. Now, if one were bold but had no mercy, if one were broad but not frugal, if one went ahead without humility, one would die. Love vanquishes all attacks. It is impregnable in defense. When heaven wants to protect someone, does it send an army? No. It sends love. Goosebumps. When heaven wants to protect someone, does it send an army? No. It sends love. You're being invited to change your life by seeing it through the prism of this ancient verse of the Tao Te Ching, which instructs you on 3 things you need for a Tao-styled life of success. First one, mercy. Mercy is the name used here for the first treasure, but synonymous terms are compassion, good-heartedness, love, kindness, and charity. Those words have been used in other translations. You've very likely been weaned on a model of achievement that's measured by accumulation, accomplishment, and the acquisition of power and influence over others. Successful people are usually considered to be narrowly focused on their own goals, oblivious to anything but getting to the top, and ruthless in preventing anyone else from getting what they're after. I studied this the night before last, not last night. Yesterday was a migraine day. But what came to mind for me was looking back at my time in employment. And I remember a job where I was the manager, vice president level manager of an installation crew of 40 people in a fleet of 40 vans going out and doing installations, cabinets and closets. It was a prominent position. And when I first started there, I had a white van, a white Ford van, no, Chevy van. And after about 2 weeks of pulling into the driveway in a van that looked a lot like the fleet vans, I remember this very, very well. I remember saying, you know what, this car doesn't speak to my position. So I went out and I traded that van, a nice utility van. It never gave me any problems. It was a perfect van. And I traded it in on a fire engine red Nissan 350Z with a turbocharger. And I parked it in my named parking spot at work. And boy, did I look like a big shot pulling into work. And when I get in it to burn rubber and head out of the parking lot to go to lunch. And then when I came back and man, look at me, everybody. Look at my power. Look at my acquisition. Look at my car. Look at my position. All wrapped up in a car and in my ego. And I remember that distinctly. Like literally, I didn't even realize it then. I wasn't conscious of it. But I look back now with a conscious mind, and I'm like, you were just egoed out, bro. You really thought you were something, and you wanted everybody to see your fire engine red race car. If I could go back, if I could get in a time machine and go back, I would drive my Rolls Canardly to work nowadays. I would. I'd park in the furthest away parking space so everybody else could get a little bit closer to the building. I don't need to be the closest one. And I'd just drive my Rolls Canardly and park it there and humbly go into work. And just try to be a servant to those people instead of a show-off. And those of you that have been here long enough, you know Pops' Rolls Canardly. I had a Rolls Canardly. Rolls down one hill and can hardly make it up the next. I bought into the world. I was programmed. And I bought the program. Do you guys get it? Do you guys get it? I hope you do. I look back. Many wasted decades. But like Red Pine, learning everywhere I went. Mercy, compassion, good-heartedness, love, kindness. These are the first treasure. Lao Tzu says that the first and most important treasure is what true courage comes from, not from a heartless and callous attitude. He even tells you that boldness without mercy is a prescription for death. So you're encouraged to think of others first by being willing to serve and exhibit kindness and love, even towards your enemies, instead of seeking external indicators to prove that you're successful. Pops. External indicators to prove to everybody else I'm successful. Shakespeare speaks of the first treasure in The Merchant of Venice. The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven. But mercy is above this sceptered sway. It is enthroned in the hearts of kings. The great playwright then reminds us with the next lines why Lao Tzu made mercy the top priority of his three treasures. It is an attribute of God's himself. An earthly power doth then show likest God, when mercy seasons justice. Mercy, compassion, and kindness are all attributes of God and the Tao. Lao Tzu saw this truth many centuries before Shakespeare did. The second treasure is frugality, or what was referred to in other translations as economy, moderation, thrift, simplicity. Now, frugality and moderation don't generally spring to mind when those at the pinnacle of achievement are described. However, according to Lao Tzu, being satisfied with less rather than more results in great generosity. I know this to be true. As I have diminished and gotten rid of many of my material things and the trappings of success, outwardly success, as I have removed those from my life, I'm more generous than I've ever been. When I was driving the turbocharged sports car, how generous do you think I was? How generous do you really think I was? I can look back now and go, I was not a generous man. Not even close. I didn't even consider generosity. I considered pomposity. Can you imagine? The paradox of the more frugal you are, the more generous you are. Let's go back to the parable of the old woman at the back of the temple that gives the last 3 mites that she had, the last 3 small coins, slips them into the box, the offering box, and slips out the back of the church, the temple. Meanwhile, the Sadducees and the Pharisees are up in the front, holding their hands up, and they're wearing their rich garments, and they're telling everybody how wonderful they are. Look at me. God has blessed me with riches above all. They might even give a donation or three. But nothing compared to that old woman who gave probably close to her last 3 pennies. The frugal old woman was more generous than any of those that were giving big donations. I hope you guys, and I hope you get this. Be willing to take only what you need and don't accumulate or hoard. The less attached you are to your stuff, the easier it is to be generous. The more you cling to it, the more you feel you need, and the less concerned you are with other people. The third treasure, necessary for a successful life, is humility. Hold on a second. Let me see something. One second. The parable of the widow's mite, found in Mark 12, tells of a poor widow who gives 2 small I said 3, but it's 2. Gives 2 small copper coins called mites to the temple treasurer. Jesus tells his disciples that she gave more than the wealthy because they gave from their surplus, but she gave all she had. The story emphasizes giving with a pure heart, regardless of the amount. And it is a lesson on offering God everything, rather than just the leftovers. The value of a gift was determined by the sacrifice involved, not the monetary amount. Some scholars argue Jesus was also highlighting the injustice of a system that encouraged a destitute woman to give her livelihood to a wealthy institution. The widow's action is seen as a sign of complete reliance on God for her sustenance. The third treasure necessary for a successful life is humility, which other translations refer to as not presuming to be above nature, daring not to be ahead of others, and not always trying to be number one. Pops. From this quality, Lao Tzu reminds us, comes true leadership that radiates Tao energy. Often our perception of strength, power, and triumph is influenced by the masculine yang qualities of arrogance, loftiness, and self-importance. So when you change the way you think about enlightened leadership, you can discover what genuinely successful people have learned before you. That is, that we're all instruments for Tao or God, or whatever you call the energy that compels the world. Humility is akin to surrendering to a force greater than your own ego and giving credit to that source, and being grateful for any wisdom and influence that's given to you by that power. Be humble, stay low, and be a generous, grateful leader. Here are some of the ways to apply these three treasures in your life. Oh, you talk about self-importance. The guy driving the supercharged, turbocharged, it's like, I'm not judging other people. I'm talking about myself. The guy that was driving that fire engine red car and zooming into the parking lot and parking in the most prominent space and all of that. How arrogant. I can't imagine if I would go back. I mean, I felt like I was a good leader, always had good reviews. People responded well to me. So my personality had its own strength. But I can't imagine if I brought a different person to that place. I have to imagine that some of those installation crews, a lot of Mexicans, a lot of Latinos, a lot of people they were carpooling to work. They were living 10 to 12 people in a single dwelling. And I looked at it back. I can't imagine what some of them must have thought. Yeah, he's a nice guy, but he sure is full of himself. Can you imagine? Let's just look back. And that's just one example of a place in my life where I was overly ostentatious. Look at me. Zoom, zoom, look at me. Live in harmony with the myriad manifestations of the Tao. The key to living in harmony is compassion and mercy. You're not in competition with anyone. So don't feel as if you must defeat another person or compare yourself on any level. Forget comparison. We do it at every level. We compare. This is they have this, I have that. We compare stuff that have nothing to do with us. Yesterday, and I'm not gonna, there was a couple of things on an IG page, our IG page, and people were comparing. Oh, well, this band is better than this band. Really? So you're comparing. They both have everything that they're supposed to be doing. There is no better, there is no worse. The minute we start comparing anything, we're buying into the world. It's a mistake. It's not on purpose. It's subconsciously, we're programmed to do it. They're better, this one's worse. There's never that in the Tao or in nature. Never. You have a right to taste. You have a right to something. I like this, to hear this a little more than this. But the moment I vocalize comparison, I'm slipping into the old message. Give me 5 people that get that. That's not a criticism of people that do it. It's a recognition of it. It's a heightened awareness that I now have. I have this heightened awareness, and it's getting more and more aware of when I compare. I'm thinking one thing's greater than another. I forgot that they're all equal. And there's so many places we do that in our lives. Subconsciously. Let's bring consciousness to our awareness. Herbie, that wasn't an attack on you. By any means, I didn't even mention you. I'm just using that as an example, a current example of in the smallest ways we compare. In the smallest ways. Okay, good, Herbs, thank you. I never would ever say anything negative about you. Or anyone, I'm trying. But be careful. Be very careful. I love you too, Herbs. We slip into these things because the world programmed us to do that. The Tao Te Ching is programming me to do the exact opposite. Stop it. There's nothing healthy in that for my mind. And I'm not right. And the other person's wrong. You'll find something today. You're going to find something today. And you're going to compare. You compare your kids to each other. You compare your exes to each other. You compare, we could just go down a list of forever. Comparison is not humility. Comparison is not compassion. Live in harmony with the myriad manifestations of the Tao. The key to living in harmony is compassion and mercy. You're not in competition with anyone, so don't feel as if you must defeat another person or compare yourself on any level. Every job I had, I compared myself and I competed. There was a job I had as a sales manager. Later on, I became a district manager for this group. It was Home Depot, back when they had the expo stores. And I started out at one store, and my sales numbers, you have to report them every Monday at a conference call. And the bosses in Atlanta are sitting there, and all of the managers, 33 stores, have to call in their numbers. And I couldn't wait until Monday's meetings so I could tell everybody what my numbers were. And we were pretty good. The store had a good location. I had a good staff. I was pretty good at motivating the group. Constantly, our numbers were 1, 2, or 3 in the group. But I lived for the comparison. You know what I did one week? This is a confession. You know what I did one week? I falsified my numbers. Calling in. Oh yeah, we had 47 sales this week. No, you didn't. You had 44. You bumped it up by 3. You faked it. You lied. Because you valued comparison so much. Because you were competing. You turned into a liar. Just so you could look good. So you could outperform others. Do you think I'm the only guy that's ever done that? Who thinks Pops is the only person that's ever done that before? I guarantee you I'm not. I didn't do it. I did it one time. Just once. I almost wanted, could I get away with it? Is there a way they could check if my numbers are real or not? Am I going to get audited? Have you ever done anything close? No, I'm sure I wasn't, Derek. I should have just stuck with what my real numbers were. We're fine. So I'm 5th this week out of 33. Big deal. No, I got to be 1, 2, or 3. I love that I just confessed that. I love that I took that spot away from my soul. I just confessed that for the first time in a public forum. First time ever. I've told a couple of people that truth. This is the first time I confessed that in a public forum. Falsify your logbooks. Thank you, Bill. Thank you. When you radiate love and respect for all, you'll be aligned with the Tao. Yeah, it feels pretty good. Yeah. I like using myself as an example. I like using myself, Greenie. And all because I bought into the world's program in order to be successful. You know, you got that red car out in the parking lot. When you radiate love and respect for all, you'll be aligned with the Tao, which will protect you as if you were a baby in the arms of a loving mother. See the hidden strengths of simplicity and humility in those whom you have previously judged to be weak or ineffective leaders. Those who practice frugality and refuse to hoard or engage in conspicuous consumption deserve to be viewed as strong examples of how to guide others. Whereas those who speak and act forcefully while stockpiling more and more goods are not in harmony with the Tao. Moreover, such individual actions tend to contribute to more dissension. And as Lao Tzu reminds us here, those who go ahead with boldness and without deference will die. And I hasten to add, they may lead others to death too. Look around the world. As you notice examples of simplicity and humility in those who are in a position to lead, make every effort to emulate those qualities in your own daily interactions. Choose a conversation which you can practice these three treasures by using an economy of words. While attempting to make a point in a conversation, for instance, stop yourself after a moment or so and use your talking time to listen. Frugality. Stop yourself after a moment. You'll be employing all three of the Lao Tzu's treasures at one time. You'll have mercy for the person with whom you're conversing by being frugal with your words. And you'll humbly be refusing to try to be ahead or above your conversational partner. Stuff gets good, guys. Put me in a time machine, please. Send me back to my days right out of the Marine Corps. I wouldn't deal drugs, and I would have a different perspective on this planet. Put me in a time machine. But we're getting there. We're getting there. It's the path, it's the way. You guys have a wonderful day. 4 things, 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. We could add in there a sub-agreement and be humble and frugal with your word. Huh? You guys like that one? Be frugal with your word. Don't take things personal. That's humility. Don't make assumptions and comparisons and expectations. Be compassionate. and do your best. Today in that conversation, use fewer words, use more listening, and you're practicing all of it. Okay? What is frugal? For us, not English personally. Frugal means frugal is to, well, I'll give you an example. It's a good question, Mello. Thank you. Frugal. A couple of synonyms for frugal. Economy. Mr. Phillips not being a cheapskate. That's funny. Economy, moderation, thrift, or simplicity. Okay? Be economical with your words. Spend them wisely. Be simple, be thrifty. Thank you for asking that question, Mello. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. And I'll see you guys here tomorrow. We'll have a few more verses of the Tao Te Ching to go through. But I know we're getting it. I know we're moving in the right direction. Am I right? Give me 5 people that say, we're all moving in the right direction. Just being reminded daily when you come to this gym and we remind ourselves we're working out and our mental health is getting so much better when we practice some of these things that we talk about here. And I'll tell you who's hearing it louder than the rest of you. This guy right here. I'm hearing it louder than anybody here. And I'm blessed beyond all resource that you guys come and listen so I can shout this stuff out to myself and then get to go practice it for today. I don't know about tomorrow. I know I'm going to practice today. Thank you. Lovingly, thank you. Thank you. So, let's scroll you guys out of here. I want you to go have a wonderful day. Take this message home and take it to your workplace. And when you're getting ready to misreport those numbers, ask yourself, do you really need to be the biggest shot on that group call? And you'll find out maybe you don't. HB, thank you. Canito, thank you for being here. Jesus Christ in Australia. Aaron and Mello. And Merlin's back, all the way back. And Married Michael. Good morning, Married Michael. And Trenty the Trenty Trenterson and Joey D's. And Mr. Phillips. You're funny. HB says, frugality is the intentional, mindful management of resources, money, time, and possessions to minimize waste and avoid extravagance. Fantastic way to put it there, HB. Great stuff. Brookie T. So baby Pops Kim was born. 6 pounds, 1 ounce, 20 inches long. Has gray hair, glasses, and a beard. The first outfit was a lab coat. Brooke, I love you. I've been thinking about that baby. That is hilarious. Thank you so much for sharing that. Oh, gosh, that's funny. What an odd-looking little kid. Jody Zozo LSD. Married Michael, 44 today. Happy birthday. Derek Anderson. Boy, does time fly, right? Cyber Jolie. Brooke, I got a visual I can't get rid of. Mello, good morning. And Herbie Von Werbs. And Nippy. There's a girl. There's a great lady. B. Hendricks. Clean Girl, Mr. Phillips. Rodman. Good morning, Rodman. Greenie, let's go. Okay. Pidgey Page, there's my pagester. Derek Anderson once again. You're welcome, Niffer. Thanks for being here. And who else? Sarah Bear, big hugs to Sarah Bear. Smitty. I'm smitten by Smitty. Kimberly, have a wonderful day. Merlin. And who else? Nurse. Nurse pictures that little baby. Okay, Dando. Good morning, Dando, the hot dog. And who else do we have here? Jody, Smitty, and Nurse. Have a wonderful day, you guys. Brooke, give that baby a little teeny peck on its forehead from Papa Roo. Okay? And hold off on the lab coat for a year or two. Huh? Okay. Have a great day, you guys. Pops, peace, love, service, and be willing to transform yourself. Okay? Brooke, that was great. That was hilarious. You guys have a wonderful day. Pops, peace, love, pop out.